The world of biblical wisdom often hides the most profound and lethal economic secrets within the simplest of narratives. And today, we open the vault of Matthew chapter 25. Imagine, if you will, a scene of immense gravity and absolute sovereign power. We are standing in a grand, sun-drenched courtyard of ancient Israel, where the air is thick with the scent of cedar and the dust of a kingdom in motion. A master, man of unmeasurable resources and geopolitical influences, preparing for a journey into a far country. But this is not a vacation. It is a strategic maneuver. Before the wheels of his chariot begin to turn, he executes a high-stakes deployment of capital. He calls his own servants to him, not just employees, but his trusted stewards, and delivers his goods into their hands. This is the first great mystery. The master does not lock his wealth in a vault. He releases it into the hands of men. He understands that wealth is not a trophy to be stared at, but a living, breathing extension of his own will that must be exercised in his absence. The master is a sovereign who knows that his dominion is expanded through the movement and multiplication of his resources, and today, he is looking for partners in that expansion. Now, look closely at the table in the center of the courtyard. On this heavy rustic oak table lie the talents. Let us correct the modern misunderstanding. A talent was not a metaphorical gift or a clever personality trait. In the biblical era, a talent was a massive visceral measurement of weight, specifically about 60 kilograms of pure, unadulterated gold. Each talent was a lifetime of wages, a fortune that could purchase an entire village or fund a small army. To one servant, the master gives 5 talents, to another, 2, and to the last he gives 1. The scripture reveals a brutal but necessary truth. He gave to every man according to his several ability. This is the law of capacity. The master did not distribute the gold based on sentimental fairness or a desire for equality of outcome. He distributed based on a cold, analytical assessment of each man's psychological and operational infrastructure. He knew who could handle the crushing weight of $22 million in gold and who would be paralyzed by the responsibility. In the kingdom of wealth, resources flow to those who have the internal vessel to contain them. The man with 5 talents was not lucky. He was prepared, having built the character required to navigate the high-stakes world of ancient trade and commodity management. The moment the master turns his back and the sound of his chariot fades into the distance, the atmosphere in the courtyard shifts from anticipation to action. The scripture tells us that he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them. Notice the urgency. He did not wait for the market to stabilize. He did not spend months in analysis paralysis. He took those massive glowing gold coins and immediately plunged them into the heat of the marketplace. He navigated the docks, negotiated with foreign merchants, and embraced the volatility of the trade routes. He understood the fundamental concept of opportunity cost. Every second those coins sat idle on the table was a second of stolen potential. Likewise, the servant with 2 talents followed the same protocol of velocity. These 2 men represent the elite high-velocity managers of the kingdom economy. They understood that the gold belonged to the master, and its only purpose was to be used as a tool for multiplication. They were willing to release what they had in their hands to lay hold of a future they could not yet see. This is the essence of return on investment, the courage to embrace risk in pursuit of the master's increase. Their faith was not a passive emotion. It was an aggressive, daily economic strategy that demanded focus, resilience, and a relentless commitment to growth. But then, our focus shifts to the 3rd servant, the man who received 1 single talent. Even a single talent of gold was a life-altering sum, a multi-million-dollar asset that could have launched 1,000 enterprises. Yet his reaction was born of a completely different spirit. He was not moved by the potential of the gold, but by the terror of the master. He did not go to the market. He did not look for a partner. Instead, he went and digged in the earth and hid his lord's money. Imagine the tragic scene. A man in the dead of night, his heart pounding with fear, burying the light of the master's gold in the cold, silent, and unproductive dirt. He believed he was being careful. He believed he was protecting the principal. In his own mind, he was the most responsible steward of all, because he was ensuring that not a single gram would be lost. But in reality, he was committing a profound act of economic treason. He chose the false security of the whole over the productive risk of the market. He allowed his distorted view of the master as a hard man to justify his own stagnation by burying the coin. He effectively removed it from the economy. He stopped the flow. He choked the life out of the capital and consigned it to the grave. He forgot that the only thing worse than losing a talent in a bad trade is refusing to use it at all. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. This is the inevitable return of the auditor. The long time represents the duration of the market cycle, the years of struggle, growth, and testing. The master returns not as a friend seeking a social visit, but as a sovereign seeking an accounting. He has come to see the fruit of his deployment. The first two servants stand ready, their hands full of the double harvest. They have navigated the storms, the droughts, and the market crashes, and they are prepared for the reckoning. They carried 10 talents and 4 talents, respectively, glowing under the midday sun. But the third servant is now walking slowly toward that patch of disturbed earth in the field. He is about to dig up a dusty, cold, and lifeless coin. He thinks his excuse is flawless. He thinks his fear was a virtue. He is preparing to look the sovereign in the eye and say, "I kept it safe." He does not realize that the master is not coming back for the safe original. He is coming back for the risky increase. The audit has begun, and the tension in the hall is suffocating. The difference between a promotion to sovereignty and a sentence to outer darkness hangs on the answer to one question. Did you multiply the light, or did you bury the future in the dirt? In the next 10 minutes we will witness the most terrifying confrontation in the Bible. We will analyze why the master ignores the third servant's safety and calls him wicked. We will uncover the audit protocol that explains why playing it safe is the fastest way to lose everything. The master's voice is about to shatter the silence. Are you ready for the reckoning? Stay with us. The long journey of the sovereign has finally come to an end, and the shadow of his return now stretches across the limestone floors of the grand courtyard. The scripture tells us that after a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. This is the moment of truth that every investor, every steward, and every soul must eventually face the audit of existence. The atmosphere is no longer one of departure and excitement. It is one of gravity and judicial finality. The master is now seated on his chair of judgment, his piercing blue eyes scanning not just the gold on the table, but the very hearts of the men he entrusted with his fortune. He is not looking for a casual update. He is looking for a formal accounting of the deployment. The first servant steps forward, his chest high and his hands heavy with the weight of 5 additional talents of pure gold. He says, "Lord, thou deliveredst unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more." Notice the language of partnership and honor. He acknowledges the source of the capital while presenting the fruit of his labor. The master's response is immediate and electric. "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." In this moment, the first servant is not just being thanked, he is being validated. He is being told that his risk was seen, his courage was noted, and his strategy was perfect. The master continues his decree to the first and second servants with words that redefine their entire future. "Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord." This is the second great law of the kingdom economy, the law of promotion. In the eyes of the sovereign, the gold was never the end goal. It was merely a test of capacity and character. By doubling the master's gold, these men proved they could handle the pressure of growth and the complexity of the market. Consequently, they are moved from the realm of asset management to the realm of sovereign governance. They are no longer just handling coins. They are now ruling over cities. This is the ultimate reward for those who refuse to bury their potential. The joy of the Lord is not a fleeting emotion. It is a state of creative power and total freedom. It is the joy of seeing the master's vision expanded through your own hands. The second servant, who started with less, receives the exact same commendation because his percentage of growth was identical. The master rewards the faithfulness of the increase, not just the magnitude of the starting point. They have moved from being servants to being heirs, all because they had the courage to put the gold into the flow of life. But then, a cold silence falls over the courtyard as the third servant approaches. He does not carry the glow of a doubled harvest. Instead, he carries a single, dull and dusty coin that has spent years in the dark of the earth. He looks at the sovereign, and instead of an apology, he offers a defense rooted in a distorted theology of fear. He says, "Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine." Let us analyze this psychological profile. This man does not see the master as a generous sovereign who trusts his servants. He sees him as a predatory tyrant. He views the economy as a zero-sum game where the only way to win is to not lose. His fear was not a virtue, it was a shield for his own laziness. He thinks that breaking even is a safe harbor in a dangerous world. He presents the dirty coin as a trophy of his caution, unaware that he is actually presenting the evidence of his own economic treason. He has failed to realize that the most dangerous thing you can do with a gift from the king is to return it exactly as it was given. The master's reaction is not one of pity or understanding. It is a terrifying explosion of righteous indignation. He does not say, "It's okay, at least you didn't lose it." No, he calls him by his true names. "Thou wicked and lazy servant." To the modern mind, calling a man wicked for being safe seems like an extreme overreaction. But from the perspective of the sovereign, it is perfectly accurate. Why wicked? Because he attributed his own internal cowardice to the character of the master. He slandered the king to justify his own stagnation. And why lazy? Because the easiest thing in the world is to dig a hole. It takes no strategy, no courage, and no effort to bury a talent. The master exposes the servant's logic as a lie. He says, "Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchanges." The master is saying that if the servant truly believed he was a hard man, he should have been even more aggressive in seeking a return, even if only through the passive interest of the bankers. By doing absolutely nothing, the servant proved that he didn't actually fear the master. He simply didn't care about the master's interests. He chose his own comfort over the master's expansion, and in the kingdom, that is the definition of wickedness. The audit now moves into its final, most brutal phase, the great real. The master issues a command that shocks the onlookers. "Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. This is the ultimate execution of the Matthew effect to the world. This seems like the height of inequality. The man who has the most is given even more, while the man who has the least is stripped of everything. But the sovereign is not interested in sentimental equality. He is interested in the stewardship of the light. He will not allow his gold to remain in the hands of a man who buries things. He reallocates the resources from the inefficient to the efficient, from the fearful to the faithful. The gold talent itself cries out for the marketplace, and the master ensures it finds a home with the man who knows how to make it breathe. This is the warning for every one of us. If you do not use what you have been given, if you do not multiply the light within you, the universe itself will eventually conspire to strip it from your hands and give it to your competitor who has the courage you lacked. The audit is closing, and the sentence of the outer darkness is about to be pronounced. In the final 10 minutes, we will look at the ultimate fate of the third servant and the legacy of the sovereigns. We will reveal how this ancient story defines the modern gap between the wealthy and the poor, and we will provide the action protocol to ensure you never find yourself in the outer darkness of regret. The master has made his decision. Are you ready for the final lesson? Have you ever wondered what it truly means to live a meaningful life? Is it about playing it safe, avoiding risks, or is it about taking what you've been given and making it grow? There's a powerful story, a parable told thousands of years ago, that offers a profound answer to this very question. It's called the parable of the talents, and it's not just about money. It's about potential, responsibility, and the incredible rewards of faithfulness. Imagine a wealthy master preparing to leave on a long journey. Before he departs, he calls 3 of his servants together. He trusts them, and he wants to see what they'll do with what he gives them. To the first servant, he entrusts 5 talents. Now, a talent wasn't just a small coin. It was a massive sum of money, maybe a lifetime's wages. This was a huge sign of trust. To the second servant, he gives 2 talents, still a very significant amount. And to the third servant, he gives 1 talent. The master distributed these amounts according to each servant's ability. He knew what they were capable of. Then, he left on his journey. The first servant, The one with 5 talents didn't waste any time. He immediately went to work. He invested the money, traded with it, and through his hard work and smart decisions, he doubled it. He turned his 5 talents into 10. This servant understood that the master's gift wasn't meant to be hidden away. It was meant to be used, to be multiplied. He embraced the opportunity and the responsibility that came with it. The second servant, who received 2 talents, followed a similar path. He also put his money to work. He saw the potential for growth and didn't hesitate. He traded and invested, and soon enough, his 2 talents became 4. He too had doubled his master's investment. Like the first servant, he proved himself to be resourceful, diligent, and faithful with what he was given. He didn't compare his 2 talents to the first servant's 5. He focused on what he had and what he could do with it. But what about the third servant? The one who received 1 talent. His story takes a very different turn. Instead of seeing an opportunity, he saw only risk. He was afraid. He worried about losing the money and facing his master's anger. So, what did he do? He took his 1 talent, went out into a field, dug a hole, and buried it in the ground. He thought that by hiding it, he was being prudent and protecting his master's property. He chose inaction over action, preservation over growth. He let fear dictate his decision, completely missing the point of the master's trust in him. After a long time, the master returned. It was a day of reckoning, a day to settle accounts. He called his servants before him one by one. First came the servant who had been given 5 talents. He stepped forward proudly and said, "Master, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more." He presented the 10 talents, the original 5, and the 5 he had earned. The master was overjoyed. His face lit up with approval. "Well done, good and faithful servant," he declared. "You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." This servant was rewarded not just with more responsibility, but with the ultimate prize, entering into the joy of his master. Next, the servant with 2 talents came forward. He said, "Master, you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more." He showed the master the 4 talents. And the master's response was exactly the same. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." It didn't matter that he started with less. What mattered was his faithfulness and the result. He received the same praise, the same reward, the same invitation into joy. Then, it was the third servant's turn. He approached the master, not with the confidence of the others, but with an excuse. He said, "Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." He returned a single dusty talent, exactly as he had received it. He hadn't lost it, but he hadn't gained anything either. He tried to justify his inaction by blaming the master's character. The master's response was stern and filled with disappointment. He called the servant wicked and lazy. "Then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest, even the bare minimum." The safest possible action would have produced some return. But the servant did nothing. His fear led to total paralysis. The consequence for this servant was severe. The master ordered that the 1 talent be taken from him and given to the one who had 10 talents. He explained a crucial principle: for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. The servant who buried his talent lost everything. He was cast out, away from the master's presence, into a place of darkness and sorrow. This parable is so much more than a business lesson. The talents represent everything we've been given in life or abilities, our resources, our time, our opportunities, even our faith. They are gifts entrusted to us by a generous master. The question is, what are we doing with them? Are we like the first 2 servants, actively using our gifts, investing them, taking calculated risks to grow them for a greater purpose? Or are we like the third servant, burying our potential out of fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping out of our comfort zone? Think about your own life. What are your talents? Maybe you're a great artist, a natural leader, a compassionate listener, or you have a knack for making people laugh. Maybe you have resources you could use to help others, or time you could invest in a worthy cause. These are not yours to simply possess and protect. They are meant to be used, shared, and multiplied. Living a life of purpose means recognizing these gifts and having the courage to put them to work. The parable teaches us that inaction driven by fear is not a neutral choice, it's a failing. The master didn't reward the third servant for simply not losing the talent. He condemned him for not doing anything with it. He expected a return on his investment. In the same way, we are called to be stewards of our lives, to produce a return with the gifts we've been given. This return isn't necessarily financial. It's about impact, growth, and contributing to the world around us. The reward for faithfulness is not just more responsibility, it's joy. Come and share your master's happiness. This is the ultimate invitation. It's a call to a deeper, more fulfilling existence, a partnership with the master. The servants who multiplied their talents were brought into a celebration, a state of joy and honor. The one who did nothing was excluded from it. This shows us that true joy is found not in playing it safe, but in a life of active, faithful service. So, let's challenge ourselves today. Let's dig up any talents we might have buried. Let's confront the fears that hold us back and choose to be people of action. Let's invest our time, our energy, and our abilities into things that matter. Whether you feel you've been given 5 talents, 2, or just 1, the principle is the same. Be faithful, be fruitful, and multiply what you've been given. Don't settle for just giving back what you've started with. Aim to hear those incredible words one day. Well done, good and faithful servant. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores life's biggest questions. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What talent are you going to put to work this week? Until next time, take care.